All right, see, there's a lot of stuff out there in this new age of AI generated slop videos and TikTok and YouTubers talking about Social Security spying on you, spying on your bank account, spying on your travel, spying on everything. So we're going to talk about that today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Weir. I ran the third business Social Security office in the country, and I know what Social Security looks at and what it doesn't look at, and what it actually should start looking at a little bit more if they actually had staff. So let's get through all the BS out there. Okay, the first thing out there is some YouTubers are saying that Social Security is looking at your bank account. No, not for a vast majority of the people receiving Social Security benefits. When you sign up for Social Security, you give them your account numbers so they can do a direct deposit. That's pretty much it. It's a one-way thing. They send you your check every month. Hopefully they're sending it every month when they're supposed to, but it's not a two-way thing. They don't read how much you have in your bank account or anything like that, unless you are receiving SSI. And then a lot of people are going to say, well, that's everybody receiving Social Security. That Social Security means, SSI means Social Security income. No, it does not. SSI is a welfare-based program that Social Security administers. It's called Supplemental Security Income. It's a welfare-based, low income, low resources. If you are disabled under the age of 65, you can get SSI if you have low income, low resources. If you're 65 and older, you can get it based on 65 or older. It's called SSI Agent. The max you can get on SSI is $994. Some states give a supplement, but from Social Security, the max you can get is $994. When you sign up when you sign up for SSI, you agree that your accounts are going to be monitored because it is a welfare-based program. This money does not come out of the trust fund. It comes out of regular taxation. So you say, yes, you understand that your accounts are going to be monitored. And so your bank accounts, anything like that, if you start getting money coming in, if someone accidentally transfers $1 million into your bank account, Social Security will get an alert and they'll send you a letter and said, hey, what's going on with this? Why are we giving you welfare when you got $1 million in your bank? So yes, for SSI, they do monitor your bank account. And there was a policy that was just changed about a month ago to make the threshold a little bit lower for those people receiving the welfare SSI. And then a lot of YouTubers picked it up and they said, oh my gosh, Social Security is monitoring your bank account. No, only those people receiving SSI. Same thing if you're receiving Medicaid or Section 8 housing or food stamps or anything like that, any type of welfare benefits, you give authority to whatever agency you apply to make sure, you're not independently wealthy or, win that $1 billion lottery or something like that. Okay, we got 5 more things we're going to talk about. Another thing that was recently changed, same type of situation, that Social Security is going to monitor your travel. It sounds like the little conspiracy theorists out there thinking Social Security is like a scene out of Goodfellas where they've got the helicopter, chasing them around the town. But no, Social Security doesn't have the funds for black helicopters to chase you around town, particularly for travel. So same type of situation, if you're receiving retirement benefits, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, Medicare, none of this part applies to you in terms of travel. Those receiving SSI, supplemental security income, if you travel overseas, the Social Security is going to start kind of doing a thing with the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, where they're going to monitor whether you travel overseas and whether you're there for over 30 days. And so that's going to give a little red flag, it looks like. For everybody else, you're safe. It's no issues whatsoever. So you don't need to worry about overseas travel or anything like that. They mentioned in the policy that they might in the future monitor overseas travel for those people that are receiving retirement and disability benefits and things like that. But that's not happening now. And it looks like the only reason it would happen in the future, the only reason they could justify it is for those people that actually move overseas. So when you move overseas and live overseas, then what happens is if you pass away, Social Security isn't notified for most places because you're overseas. If you're in the United States, then the funeral homes and the coroner's office notifies Social Security. But if you're living overseas, there's no way. So if they notice that you maybe, again, this is not happening right now. I'm just saying this possibly might be the logic in the future where they say, okay, 5 years from now, we're going to monitor everybody that, travels overseas. and that doesn't come back. And that means you're living overseas. And then what happens is you get this proof of life form. And this is the only thing. You get a proof unless you go to North Korea or Cuba. You can't go to North Korea and Cuba. So sorry, if you wanted to enjoy those beautiful beaches in North Korea, then sorry, can't. Yeah, anyway. But anywhere else, you can live wherever, it doesn't matter. But if you live overseas, then you will get a proof of life form every now and then, every 6 months, a year, a couple of years or so. And it's basically saying, yeah, you're receiving retirement benefits, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, disability benefits. And we just want to make sure you're still out there alive and kicking. So return this form. They just made it a little bit easier where you can actually do it over the phone now. So, but everybody else, other than SSI, it's not happening yet. So, all right. Another thing that the Social Security does is they monitor your earnings. Yes, and that's an important thing because in order to receive Social Security benefits, let me work on my little graphics here. In order to receive Social Security benefits, it's determined by your high 35 years of earnings. This is a Q&A, so okay, there we go. All right. Or your earnings record, your high 35 years. A lot of people think, your Social Security benefit is determined by your high 5 or 10 or last 3 or something like that. No, that is 100% incorrect. It's determined by your high 35 years of earnings. So when you play with your friends at the IRS and pay your ounce of blood to the IRS, then the IRS notifies Social Security that this person made $20, $30, $50, $100,000, and that's how they determine your high 35 years of earnings. So the Social Security obviously does monitor your earnings to make sure you get everything you're eligible for from Social Security. And here is one thing that's kind of very, very suspicious. This is the first time this has ever happened in the history of Social Security. The current commissioner of the Social Security Administration, Frank Bisignano, Wall Street type of guy. He's the commissioner of Social Security. He was appointed also after he was confirmed as a commissioner of Social Security. He's a Doge guy through and through. He said he's a Doge guy. He was also appointed the CEO of the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. This is a completely made up job. It never existed before, but he is wearing 2 hats. So his part-time gig, I guess, is Social Security, and his full-time gig is the CEO of the IRS, because that's where all his competitors, allegedly, bodies are buried. So he knows everything about his competitors now and how much they make and where they make it and everything like that. So that's, I'm not liking that at all. A lot of people in our community as well don't like the fact that this has never happened since 1935, where you get a commissioner of the Social Security Administration that also has his fingers in the IRS. And we probably won't know exactly what he was doing with all of those records for another 3 or 4 years until things change here. So we're gonna keep an eye on that. All right, number 5 here is disability benefits. Another kind of a conspiracy that the Social Security Administration is hiding in your garbage and looking at all of everything if you're on Social Security disability. Yeah, that's not happening. Even if Social Security wanted to, they just don't have the staff nowadays. And that's one of the issues is, Doge came in, Elon Musk came in, and he says, oh, we're going to fight all the fraud, waste, and abuse. He found $0 of fraud, waste, and abuse of Social Security. Zero at Social Security. Is there fraud, waste, and abuse of Social Security? Of course there is. Every large organization. Social Security is one of the largest organizations, the largest funds in the United States and the world. Of course it has fraud, waste, and abuse. Did he find any? No, he did not. He found $0 of fraud, waste, and abuse. So it's kind of amazing that, he said he was going to find billions and billions of dollars, but he found nothing because he was looking all in the wrong places. And because they relocated, fired, laid off, got rid of, terminated, however you want to put it, over 7,000 employees. Part of the job of those 7,000 employees was to find fraud, waste, and abuse. So anytime an office got word that someone was working that they weren't supposed to, then Social Security would do what's called a CDR, continuing disability review. They do all the paperwork, review the case on a case-by-case basis. Not sexy, not billions of dollars of zombies going out there that are 150 years old collecting Social Security, which never existed. But it's just the non-sexy, very bureaucratic send out the forms, get the forms, do an investigation, do an overpayment. But because Social Security doesn't have that staff to do that anymore, there's going to be actually more fraud, waste, and abuse perpetrated by people receiving disability benefits, retirement benefits, survivor benefits, SSI, because Social Security doesn't have the staff to monitor those people. So that's what they should be kind of spying on, those people that are not doing the right thing, but they just don't have the staff to do it, unfortunately, because, yeah, it's kind of ironical, isn't it? All right, number 6, and this will be the last one, and then we'll get into our live Q&A. So the 6th one is working. If you're receiving any other type of, not only disability benefit, we're talking about regular retirement benefits, survivor benefits. If you're under your full retirement age and collecting Social Security, you're limited to the amount of money you can make. And that limit this year, 2026, is $24,480. So if you make over that amount, then Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. And Social Security monitors that, yes, but they don't get the report until the following year. So they don't monitor it on a monthly basis. So we used to have people come into the Social Security Administration all the time and say, hey, you knew I was making, over the $24,480. I pay my taxes. You take FICA out of my taxes every single month, out of my paycheck every 2 weeks. So you knew I was going over. Why didn't you stop my benefits? Well, Social Security doesn't know. The IRS takes money out of there on a regular basis, and the two systems don't talk to each other until the following year, because even if you made $24,480 in January, you might stop working after that. So Social Security takes you at your word, and you say, yes, I am going to stay under the annual earnings limit. And then Social Security doesn't monitor you at all until you do your taxes and everything the following year. And then if you go over that limit, then they send you an overpayment letter, and then you have to address that. And I've got ways to address overpayments letters. If you get one of those, a lot of people are going to get one of those, and they're going to be surprised they get it. There's many ways you can address it. SSA 561, a request for reconsideration, a waiver, SSA 632, but I can get into all of those if you get one of those. So make sure you subscribe, and that way if you get any strange letters from Social Security, you can immediately come over here and we can help you see how to address it. All right, let's get into some live questions here. I've got a couple of videos that people sent in, video questions and some live questions. We got Danny here first up. Hey, Danny, just turned 65 on the 8th. Congratulations. February 8th, same birthday as my son. Hi, I've been on SSD for 8 years, 100% VA disabled for 6 years. Do I have to contact anyone as I go on Medicare? So you're 100% disabled, 65. Normally when people turn 65 like this, if they're on disability benefits, what I tell them is, because when you're receiving disability benefits under 65, the only thing you had available to you is a Medicare Advantage plan. You weren't, in most states, you probably weren't eligible to get a Medicare supplement plan in most states. So at 65, I tell people on SSDI, check to see if you actually wanted a Medicare supplement plan, see if one is best for you. And because you're turning 65, you can't be denied in any state in the country. You can't be charged 2 or 3 or 4 times what some states do. When you're 65, you can get any Medicare supplement plan you want. But in your particular case, if you're 100% VA disabled, you can get a Medicare supplement plan. But if you're predominantly using the VA, I probably say not for a Medicare supplement plan. But in terms of Part A and Part B, I would definitely sign up for Part A. You're already signed up for Part A probably. If you're receiving Social Security disability benefits, you started Medicare 6 years ago, because you get Medicare after being on Social Security disability for 2 years. So did you refuse Part B at that time because you have the VA? And here's my VA spiel about the VA clinics and everything and Medicare. Not TRICARE for life. You're VA. You didn't retire. You're just disabled, right? You don't have TRICARE. You're using VA. So if you have the VA, you're probably saying, well, I don't want Part B. If you have TRICARE, you have to get it. But if you have the VA, then you're probably saying, well, I've got the VA and I don't need to pay $202.90 for the VA. Okay, that is an argument. But what happens if you move? If the VA facility you use and like customer service, they just try to cut 85,000 jobs from the VA. What happens if it goes south, your particular VA clinic? What happens if you need a second opinion or something like that? So that's why I would highly, highly, highly recommend you double check to see whether you really, really want to continue to refuse Part B. And you can reach out to Chapter there and they can go through all the deal. And there's one thing called a Medicare Advantage Part B give back, where if there's one available in your area, as the name implies, you can sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. That way you've got a kind of, a backstop there, as kind of a second option. And the company might pay $50, $100, $200 of your Part B premium, monthly premium. So that is an option. A lot of those are actually called Patriot plans and honor plans because a lot of veterans get those plans because they can kind of have their cake and eat it too.